Smith Show starts right now.
The 50-plus markets across the United States of America. Check your AM, FM listing, plus Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio on ESPN News. By the way, we all love a night out, whether it's seeing our favorite band or being in the crowd to cheer on our favorite team. With the Vivid Seats Royalties Loyalty Program, you earn credit towards your next live event. Download the app and join the Vivid Seats Rewards Loyalty Program today and start getting credit for your fandom. Also, prep your engine for winter with Pennzoil Synthetic Motor Oil, the first motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Honored and privileged to have my next guest on the line, Super Bowl champion, former player rep. I don't know why the hell he went to the Redskins the year that he did, but that's a different subject for another day. Does an absolutely phenomenal job for us covering the NFL, Sports Center, First Take, NFL Live, the list goes on and on. The man himself, the one and only Ryan Clark, is sitting right next to me. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm excited to get the year started.
That's right. So am I. And we were very, very excited until today. Antonio Brown is the order of the day. That's the news of the day. First of all, you just heard about these rape allegations. Mm-hmm. Address that as it pertains to former teammate of yours, Antonio Brown. We know y'all history going back and forth with one another, but your thoughts about the allegations against them and what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. No matter what the back and forth is, me and you talk about this all the time. These are the situations we hate. Mm-hmm. You never want to see people go down this path and get into this type of trouble. And it's such a situation right now. We don't have all the facts. And it's hard to separate some of the things we've seen recently from Antonio Brown and his behavior and this, but I think they're two totally different things. And so now you look at the league and you're looking at this. We talked a little bit about the commissioner's exempt list. This is something I think that will come into that consideration. He's already such a high-profile star, a guy that has been in the news for doing the wrong thing, and now you bring in Miss Taylor or Brittany Taylor's accusations against him, and then you get the email that comes out, and now we see some of the information and some of the way he addressed her once these concerns were brought to his attention. And if I'm the NFL, if I'm the league, I don't want to be a part of this. I want to be separated from it. And we spoke a little bit about the NFLPA and what they have to do as well. They have to not defend Antonio Brown's guilt or innocence, but defend his process, defend his due process, defend his opportunity to play this game. And so going forward, I don't think the New England Patriots suspend him. I think the New England Patriots move along with Antonio Brown as a member of this team, and he plays this weekend. And so if you're looking for something to be done, it's going to have to be done on the NFL's end. They started to investigate this case already. Brittany Taylor has said that she will cooperate and speak with the NFL, but that's not until next week. Mm-hmm. So until then, I think things remain as they are. He's already at practice right now with the New England Patriots. He's in the building. He's learning, and I believe they plan to move forward with him as well.
Ryan Clark, I've been on the record saying I'd be shocked if he's not placed on the commissioner's exempt list by Friday. And to me, it has everything to do with the precedent that they have set in the past. Now, some could argue Adrian Peterson, corporal punishment against his own child, at least that's the way people termed it. Mm-hmm. Okay, he was indicted. Okay, you got to deal with that. Greg Hardy was indicted, found guilty by a judge, a non-jury trial, but a trial judge in North Carolina before appealing that case ultimately was dropped. Reuben Foster had accusations made against him, investigation before those charges were dropped. But you had Kareem Hunt, obviously. You have all of these people that were placed on the commissioner's exempt list, even though one could have argued the team themselves would have still let those guys play. Although Antonio Brown is not being arrested, there is an ongoing investigation on the part of the NFL. There is an ongoing investigation by authorities, from my understanding. This clearly is a civil case being exacted against him. To me, usually that's enough for the league office and the commissioner himself to say, come on over here on this exempt list. To that you say what?
Yeah, it's a situation where he hasn't been indicted and no and no charges have been brought against him other than this civil case. And a lot of times, as a PA, we don't want to allow guys to be able to be presumed guilty before his due process has taken place. And very often that has to do with authorities. And in this situation, it won't. I do feel what you're saying, that because of the precedent set, the things we've seen with the Greg Hardys, the Ezekiel Elliott's, this seems like something they will review. And I think they will look at it. But this isn't a repeat offender type situation for Antonio Brown. This isn't a situation to where the law is involved, at least from the sense of him being indicted or charged with anything. And so I think they have to tread very lightly on how they react and enact punishment at this point in time. If we get more information, and I think it begins to become more of a black eye to the NFL, I believe that's when they make that move. But just now, just getting the accusation, not having an opportunity to talk to Ms. Taylor, I think that makes it hard for the commissioner to make that move.
I completely agree with you, Ryan, but the thing that I think everybody's missing is that even without these allegations, even separate and apart from this incident, you had people that were saying the NFL would have been justified in suspending Antonio Brown because of his conduct against the Oakland Raiders when he was there. To that you say what? Because you
I don't agree with that.
Right.
I understand what people were saying because it was every day and it was always something, a recorded phone call. He claimed to not use the word that was said to be used toward Mike Mayock. And speaking with other people, the NFL said Mike Mayock actually said the same thing, that he was not called that. And so, we're getting some of this information, and we look at the way that he basically forced himself out of Oakland. Those were things that Oakland fined him for. Those were things that now that he's been pushed out of Oakland or released from Oakland, that they handled in the way that they were supposed to. I don't necessarily think that goes along the same lines as some of those other names and some of the incidents that got those people placed onto that list. Now, if they say they want to fine him in some way or try to some way punish him for that, I can see that happening. But putting him on the commissioner exempts list for that.
Oh no, I wasn't saying
that.
You just said suspended him.
Suspended him. Yeah, I don't think he deserves to be suspended for that. That was something he did to one team. It was victimless acts as far as who was harmed by it, and they released him. Now he has suffered the consequences of those actions.
Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. So with that being said, how are you supposed to feel at this particular moment if you are a Pittsburgh Steeler? Are you relieved that you don't have him? Or judging by the way they looked Sunday night against the New England Patriots, are you like, damn, I miss him? What emotion is the overwhelming thing with your former team?
I believe, and I've talked to a few people, I believe it's relief. And it's not even relief because of what's going on right now. Some of the things in Oakland, I believe they were relieved by. But talking to people in that locker room, there's a sense that even now you can come to work and not have to worry about those things. That Ben Roethlisberger can come to work and just be a quarterback and not have to worry about dealing with Antonio Brown, and even more so dealing with the effect that he had on the rest of the locker room as it pertained to Ben Roethlisberger. Because I can be honest with you now, and speaking on it, there were a lot of people who did side with Antonio Brown. A lot of people who felt
similar to T.O. Donovan McNabb.
Very similar.
Split locker room.
It was a split locker room, and for Ben being on the other side of it and feeling like he had been wronged or like he was been put in a bad position or seen in a tough light. It's hard to come to work and play your position well in that case. Now let's get to the football field. When Juju Smith-Schuster gets his first opportunity to face number one schematic defense, to have to face number one wide receiver matchups, which is Stephon Gilmore of the New England Patriots, and you only get 2 catches in the first half, that's not good enough.
Right.
So in that sense, you say, you know what, if we have number 84 out there, Stephon Gilmore doesn't get to match up on him one-on-one, and we just go away from that and not attack him. And so it hurts you in that instance, but having a locker room that is together, a locker room that has the chemistry that it needs now, I think they take that right now over the on-field production, especially seeing what's happened since he's left there.
When you look at the AFC North, did we make a mistake focusing so much attention on the Steelers without Antonio Brown, the Cleveland Browns with Odell Beckham Jr., but we ignored the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson?
I think the bigger mistake we made was that it wasn't that we ignored them. It was that we looked at Lamar Jackson and the ineptitude of this passing attack last year, especially in the wild card round against the Los Angeles Chargers, and thought to ourselves, well, he just can't do it.
Well, 13 minutes left in the game. You only got 3 completions for 25 yards. That might do it.
Right, but you feel me, Stephen A? It wasn't even like we looked at it and said, we're ignoring them. We looked at it. We actually looked at it. We dissected it and analyzed it and said, with a passing game like that, this team can't compete. And we, ignored the fact that, you know what, players get better. We ignored the fact that at a young age, Lamar Jackson had a deficiency, and now he has an opportunity to work on it. Let's not be confused. He's not going to have a perfect passer rating every week. But when you look at that game, some of the tight window throws he made, the accuracy downfield, and if you watch throughout the game, there were some plays and some throws he made from different planes in the pocket that we hadn't seen him make last year as the starting quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm not ready to say that this is the team we'll see every week. But if he can show this type of improvement in the passing game, they are going to be very difficult to beat because we know, just as every year with the John Harbaugh teams, they're going to be extremely stout defensively.
Let's stick with the Miami Dolphins because we talk about the Baltimore Ravens against the Miami Dolphins. They looked absolutely pathetic, inept, embarrassing. Damn near a Pop Warner team looked like they could have done better, losing 59-10. Ryan Fitzpatrick, obviously not impressive.
Josh Rosen comes in.
You move Kenny Stills, Tunsil as well. He's gone. And you've got players reportedly calling their agents wanting out because they believe damn near the coaching staff was losing on purpose. What did you make? I mean, you got corners that wasn't getting any help from safeties on long passes, and there was no coverage back there. What did you make of the Miami Dolphins reacting the way that they did in the aftermath of that loss?
Well, the first thing is this. After losing 59-10, what makes you think anybody else wants any of y'all?
That's right.
With the way that those guys played as a team, with the way that they coached. I think it's sad when you hear reports that when Stephen Ross was looking for candidates for the head coaching job, he told them, don't worry about it. Winning's not that important this year. We don't really care if you win or lose. That's not necessarily a job I want to take. And if you're Brian Flores, an African-American coach, you don't get enough opportunities to take a job.
And Chris Gray, an African-American general manager.
Yeah. You don't get an opportunity to take jobs where it's okay to lose because we don't get the next job that way. And so it also makes me look back to some of the things that were going on in Miami preseason, whether it was the Stephen Ross situation with holding the benefit and Kenny Stills there, the playing of Jay-Z at practice. It seems almost as if they were worried about so many things outside of football that football didn't get focused on. And it's one thing to lose a game, Stephen. You know, people lose football games. Our Steelers didn't look good. They lost by 30, but it still wasn't what we saw in Miami. And if this continues for this team, the NFL is going to have to do something about when it looks like teams are tanking. When it seems you're giving away all of your assets and you're not getting anything back.
Well, they got a couple of first-round picks, a couple of second-round picks. We can't ignore the fact that they did get compensation.
Right,
it's just that this season, it's not going to materialize.
Also, listen, and the Raiders looked bad last year, right? We looked at the Raiders giving away Khalil Mack. Obviously, they were, like you said, Cooper. They got draft picks. They get Amari Cooper, and it was bad. It didn't look like that. Right? You felt in watching it that there was going to be a way that they can improve. We actually pointed toward the draft and said, okay, if they hit right on these first 3-round picks, they have a chance, which they did. You lose Jonathan Abram now to an injury, but those guys played well, and now you see what this team is. After watching Miami on Sunday, I don't feel that way. After watching Miami, I don't feel like this thing improves to resemble anything, kind of mentioning to your point, anything of what an NFL franchise is supposed to look like. And I just don't think that's good for the Miami area, the Miami Dolphins organization, or the league as a whole.
I will say this. One team you got to feel good about is the Houston Texans, and they lost. But you got to feel good about them based on what you saw from Deshaun Watson. He's been absolutely sensational. And then not only that, he's playing in the division where in Tennessee, you can't make up your mind whether it's Mariota or Tannehill. You got Nick Foles that went down in Jacksonville. Andrew Luck retired in Indy. Houston Texans, based on what we saw, even without Jadeveon Clowney, even with J.J. Watt registering a 0, no sacks, no tackles, tackles, no assists, nothing. It still took the last-minute heroics of Drew Brees along with Will Lutz to pull us out.
It took a 58-yard field goal to beat this team on the road in New Orleans, which is an extremely difficult place to play. And Deshaun Watson has been really good already. He was great last year. They go on a 9-game winning streak after losing the first 3. Yep. He showed leadership. He showed toughness. But to watch him play on Monday night, that was special.
Special.
The 2 big throws, DeAndre Hopkins down the sideline, Kenny Stills down the seam to a 2-play drive of 75 yards to put your team on top. That's the stuff Dabo Swinney was talking about when he was promoting. Actually, he said he was Michael Jordan
of football.
And think about this, Stephen, and you know basketball better than anybody. That comparison, whenever you compare anybody to Michael Jordan, it's like, okay, hold on.
That's right.
It's Michael Jordan. But the one thing about that is we knew Mike wanted the ball in crunch time.
And we know that from Deshaun Watson.
And we know that from Deshaun Watson.
And not only that, got for 9 losses on his career as a starting quarterback. All of them have been by an average of 4 points in a regular season.
And
all of them.
And without protection. Like, you watch this game, Deshaun Watson was getting hit. He was having to evade the rush on many of the throws that he completed. And starting the game, DeAndre Hopkins had 3 drops, which never happens. And so when you see a guy like this that can play this way, Carlos Hyde began to run the ball well toward the end of the game or as the game got going. I think this team is going to be really difficult to beat for other AFC South teams.
Could they be the number 1 threat to the New England Patriots in the AFC, or is that still Kansas City?
It's Kansas City, but I'm still worried about Kansas City's defense. Mm-hmm. You watch a guy like Gardner Minshew come into a game and complete the amount of passes that he was able to complete. Obviously, they didn't have a book on him. I want to see them play better. But when you have a Patrick Mahomes, when a guy like Tyreek Hill can go down, but you can have a Sammy Watkins step up and almost have 200 yards receiving, 13 catches. You have Travis Kelce. I just feel like there's so much offensively there. It's much too early to put the Houston Texans in that category when you don't know what that offensive line can do to protect Deshaun Watson.
In the in the NFC, rather, the Dallas Cowboys. They are who they are. They're looking impressive right now. I can't deny it.
Are you scared to go back?
No. Scared of them?
Well, I saw you talking to people bad as soon as you touched down.
I don't give a damn. I ain't scared of them. I ain't scared, even though they need to pay Dak his money. They need to pay Dak Prescott this money. You don't have any problem with how long they've kept him waiting? I do.
I do. I thought Dak should have been the guy to get his deal first.
Yeah.
And I understand how people looked at it as he wasn't the best player of the 3 big guys on offense, but I thought he was the most important to this team's success. And so now you have to pay him. Now you're going to have to really go to him and make him the highest paid player in the NFL, whether you feel like he deserves it or not, because it's his turn. Mm-hmm. And if he continues to play the way that he played on Sunday, I think he gets an opportunity.
We just played against one man. The Giants don't have a team. It was just Saquon Barkley and a bunch of misfits. That's all it was. I mean, let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is, John Ryan. Let's call it what it is. Misfits, well, I ain't gonna call them misfits. I don't mean it like that. They're incompetent. They're just not very good.
No.
They're not very good.
They're not very good at all. And so I weighed that in, and then I watched the way he played the game. I watched the way he completed passes and the spots that he was able to fit footballs in. These aren't things I saw from Dak early on in his career. So it shows me that he's making that progression as we've seen a Russell Wilson make. And I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, guys, but as we had to see Tom Brady make as he continue to grow as a quarterback in this league. And if Dak can continue to do that, this team is going to be very difficult to beat this year because early on you saw Saquon go for the 59-yarder early, but this defense shut it down.
Last question. I don't even have the Cowboys as the best team in the NFC East. I got the Eagles. Right now.
And I agree with you.
You agree with me?
No, it's not a question. Coming into the season, I thought the Eagles were the team to beat in the NFC. And after a slow start, Carson Wentz got rolling. They looked every bit apart offensively.
So you think they're the team to beat in the NFC, not the NFC East? You think they're the team to beat even over New Orleans?
Yes. I think they're the team. I think they are the most explosive team offensively on this side of the conferences. And the other part of it is, though, can they stop people outside? We saw the rookie McLaurin get loose on them. Can those corners step up and play, which they said had improved, but we didn't get to see that on Sunday.
My man.
Appreciate
you,
brother.
Always,
look forward to it next week.
Same here. Oh, by the way, LSU's not looking bad. They might have a chance this year. They might have a chance. They might have a chance. Now you're gonna lose to the Tide now.
No, sir.
You coming to Tuscaloosa, you ain't winning in Tuscaloosa. You do know that. Stop it.
Stop it. Stephen A., let's just watch it a little bit more.
Okay.
Let's watch it a little bit more.
If this defense,
defense comes around a little bit, like, because y'all are explosive on offense, but we can score this year. If we can get that pressure on
See,
Tua, you out of there.
See, here we go with the ifs.
We gotta say, I gotta say if. I have to say if because I have to give the respect to the Alabama Crimson Tide that has earned for me.
You keep giving that. Y'all bow down to the top.
Bow.
Roll Tide.
But we ain't
Roll
bowing
Tide.
nowhere.
That's what you please. Y'all gonna go in second place. That's what you're gonna do. You ain't gonna do
Okay,
it.
bet that.
Third. I don't even know if y'all better than Georgia.
We're better than Georgia.
I don't know about that. You heard me.
First, we got to beat Alabama.
All right. How about that? Good luck with that, Ryan Clark. Appreciate you, bro. As always. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That was the one and only Ryan Clark doing an outstanding job for us covering the NFL right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. We'll get back to your calls and more in just a minute here. By the way, did you know overall job satisfaction is at its highest level in 15 years? Wow. 51%.